that should be us. Hello to both of you. Yes, it's been forever. I can't believe anybody came back. It has been 21 days since the Ironsworn team went down into the basement and then into the cellar under the basement and then into the dungeon under the cellar under the basement and played down there for a while. And it's, yeah, down we go. But we're back and we're ready to do it again with me. My name is Kevin. This is Dirty 20 Gaming. And these wonderful people, Robin, Karis, and Austin. Thank you guys very much, as always, for showing up and for waiting until we were back. With that, for anybody who is watching this and doesn't know, this is a cooperative game of Ironsworn. Sean Tompkin did the game. It is the four of us working together to tell this story. No DM, no plot, no pre-planned anything. Just what we make up on the fly during the game. The character sheets in Roll20, Ethan, these things are amazing. They're, now that we're used to the new ones, it's just bang, 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 bang. It really helps tell the story because they're really well set up. Somebody just had a thought. But
just
with
noticed
that,
Dead Aussie Gamers watching tonight.
Oh, wow. Hey, welcome,
It's
welcome. I
morning
don't
his
have,
time.
yeah, it is. I know that game. But anyway, with that, we should start the same way we always start. We should start with the person we almost always start with. As Amala.
No pressure.
Karis, what happened? Where's Karis's head at the end of the last time?
Amala's
Okay, yeah, you're right.
They're starting to bleed together,
We've
guys.
started now.
Let's just stick with Amala's head.
We'll talk
tonight.
about Karis after we turn the cameras off later. Where's Amala's head at after this?
An eternity between one breath and the next. Between each heartbeat. An eternity to remember unceasingly how we got here. Over and over, searching desperately for a different outcome. I didn't set a circle before my morning rituals. I mean, we're just at a rest stop as we leaving Kinheim. But he who walks behind did not miss it, and he wrapped himself around me, keeping me shadowed, snuffing out the light. He must have known. He must have known what Callista was up to. I mean, she was using bone and blood magic and feeding off of Cadell, as she was. I wonder what guided my hand in making the markings on my arms. I mean, did he lure me to it? Was it a premonition of what I would be up against? I mean, I don't even know. Are these a shield? Are they a warning? A weakness? I breathing. The caravanserai between Kinheim and Malwind was unusually quiet when we got there for our first night, and it seemed to have been for some time. Yeah, so while Ceridwen made camp, I set a ward. I invoked the area. I sighted and I saw something observing us, me. Something with strings pulled by Callista, but yet still separate from her. And I warned the party. I warned us we didn't take it seriously enough. And Gear was lured out on his watch and captured by Callista. I keep breathing. So Gear, as we've all seen, uses iron in his blood for his vows and his strength and all. And Callista took that. She extruded the iron from his very blood into bindings in the spirit world. And when I found him, he was bound both in shadow and in the real world, and bleeding freely and spread out like the sacrifices we'd seen on the altars. I mean, a gasp of breath. I see the woman I killed in the woods, and a heartbeat, and I see Gear, his blood and his bones spread in deliberate display. We couldn't save any of the sacrifices. And I should have realized then, I should have realized that being a shaman may mean that I have to sacrifice a member of my circle. I mean, Callista was there with him with that tenderly spidery, red-eyed pet thing of hers I'd seen earlier. She was trying to convey something to me specifically. I mean, Lena thinks she was trying to scare me into giving up the path that I'm on, and I'm not so sure. It was practically a figure dance, a very formal dance. And as I trapped her in a circle within her pet circle, within the circle of he who walks behind, who was clearly there for her and just found me a tasty bonus. The circles cut her feed from Cadell, but of course, she still had her own resources and Gear with his iron blood. A single soul glows like light filtered through a jar of oil, its clarity marred by a drop of ink swirling as it diffuses into the fluid. And to see that and know that I can only save it by setting it free. A woman I don't know, or our own Gear, both sacrificed for me, by me. I look deeply into eyes that don't see me, watched by other eyes eager for me to give in. I breathing in a sharp intake, into lungs constricted in pain. I mean, the ink of shadows surrounding me, diffusing, infusing like smoke, filling the air. The shadow of he who walks behind that can smother my light and steal my breath and still my heart. Callista thinks she pulls the strings, toying with darkness. She has no idea. She dabbles her hands and feet into waters that will turn into tar and trap her as a fly is trapped in sap that becomes amber. In the end, I've not had to sacrifice Gear the way I did the woman. Though I could follow the iron coursing through his veins, I could not reach his spirit. He was too tied to the material that was left to others who could touch his body. I could only push him away, back to the circle, back to my circle that I stood outside of. I mean, I can take a deep breath and I can stand as an equal among shamans on the business of wizards beside the mortals that we serve, detached from any plane that might be termed real. I can walk beside them, but am I really with them?
Well, 3 weeks just went away for me. I don't know about you guys, but I'm right back where we were.
I just had a really, really terrible idea, so I would like to volunteer to go last.
Okay.
Lead us into
Absolutely.
the now.
Yeah. Okay. I can go next. I almost never go second. To feet as always. I don't know why I didn't see this coming. I mean, I don't mean all them and all that and all this. I mean me being called upon to go in the shadows and fight. I mean, shadows is what I am. I know I used to pretend I was just sneaky. You know, there's an hell of a lot more to it than that, don't we? And as much as I love all these people here that I'm with, I'm still not as comfortable here as I am in the dark. I'm afraid I'm a mite bit too comfortable in the dark, to be honest. But that's a big question, Feet. That one can wait. Because we got one what's a lot more imminent and a lot more important than that one. And that's what we're going to do in them shadows, Feet. We're going to hide. We're going to sneak up behind gods. See if we can't stab them in the neck. I know you're a constellation, Feet, but I'm sure as hell not. Scared as all that and more. Oh, I can't get that image out of my head, Feet. Oh, I can't. Look on their faces when they seen it was Bill Ardinge that ended their horrible, horrible life. But let's just keep that as a vision for now, just between you and me, eh? I mean, I'm here for summit. It's that.
Hey, I don't know what happened. We were moving, it was fine. We were doing relatively well on our way to Malwind, and then everything just seemed to go wrong. And something's not right in this whole area, and I guess we should have known that if it's too easy at this point, something's around. And Amala told us that there was something around, and so we tried to protect ourselves from it, thinking that we knew how to do that, and maybe we don't know as much as we think we do, which again, we should know considering the lack of answers we keep getting from everybody else in the world. And then Gear went missing into this darkness that we couldn't see through, that the ward protected us from, and then Amala went into shadow to try to find him, and she was gone for a long time, so long that the ward started to weaken, and the tendrils of darkness started to wrap around it, and Bill tried to use his shadow to stop it, and it was still cracking, and so he asked me for mine, and I gave it, and now I don't know what that means. I don't know how that works. I feel empty in a way, and it scares me. And but there's no time to think about that right now. We had to follow the beacon, and we found Gear, and he was being put into that sacrificial pose in a way with iron hooks in his bones and ropes holding his wrists and sinew going from his back, and we had to think fast, so we got the horse under him to try to cut him loose. We didn't know what else to do. Amala was still out. She was in the shadow still, so we carried her with. And so we were kind of just working through it. And it was terrifying because we'd seen these sacrifices, these rituals, these bloody miasma of decoration for some dark being, and it was horrifying then, even when it was people we didn't know, or if it was Shenda or something like that. But for it to be gear, to be someone that we tried to protect specifically and then just couldn't. I don't know how we're going to come back from this without there being consequences.
I don't remember much before. Only the sounds of those crying out. But when I opened my eyes, the hands, they were outstretched, welcoming me. I don't know why. After that, it was as if I was in a dream. When she drew her iron knife, I've been cut before, but never like this. The cuts it made, the way it rent the skin, peeling the muscle from the bone. I could feel everything. And as she dropped the coals into my chest, one after another, I must have lost consciousness many, many times. Every time, though, she would pull me back from the brink. My fingers searching, looking for something to grab onto, straining themselves, trying to ease the pain. The questions at the back of my throat were drowned by the screams coming from my lips. And the last thing I saw, I reached my hands out, desperately hoping to grab onto something. They found that beautiful coat, the one that I had made myself. When my eyes reopened, I could hear everything in the forest. I could feel the dirt beneath my paws. I could feel the wind rush through my fur. I could smell the fear and the sorrow of my friends. And I could see myself. The putrid smell. As long as I they won't come near me, and I'm trapped on the outside. Why have you done this to me?
Brings us right up to the bottom of this dark soul, this pit that we call the present in this wonderful game.
We're having fun.
So
I'm not crying.
we're gonna have to find a
I'm
fair
not.
fairly soon. Yeah, we haven't even started, and there's already a lot of blinking going on.
So, Ceridwen is just trying to secure Gear's body to the horse, not knowing the separation that happened. And I don't know if I don't remember if Amala woke up at the end of last session or not. Because she was also on a
Yes,
horse.
struggling
so,
on the. Yeah, I was draped over the back of a horse and struggling, trying to get myself oriented. Yeah.
Right. And then Bill was there. He was still conscious and helping, right?
Yes, he was helping Ceridwen.
And the spirit animals already were avoiding gear before that, so odd behavior for them is
So
not
where's
unexpected.
okay. So yeah, are they even close enough for us to see them? Either the owl or
Apparently, the white mane at least
white
can.
mane?
They
You know,
can see
the
us.
wolf
I don't know
wren
if
can
we can
see
see them.
gear.
Mhm. So to
I don't know
speak,
if we
yeah.
can see them, but
I guess they
Um,
would be pretty absent, wouldn't they? But the
At
white mane
least-
would be watching.
Yeah,
yeah.
we wouldn't be seeing them
Gear.
anyway. I mean, we're putting our dead companion on a horse. Right?
Well, it's. I'm sure it's getting closer to morning, but it was dark.
Yeah.
When we left, and so we're pretty used to them just kind of following and doing their
Yeah.
thing.
So much for a long rest.
Luckily, we don't have those. So first
Yeah.
thing I am going to do, and let's hope that this.
They struggle to get
Doesn't-
off the horse and sort of collapse in a heap on the ground,
You're
and then scramble
welcome.
and try and get over to gear.
Oops, I pressed the wrong thing. Haha! Maybe not.
Well, no, yeah. You endured stress. Want to use that one, or you want to roll another one?
Let me see.
You give in to a fear or compulsion.
Act
Okay,
against
I'm
your
not
better
at
interest.
0. 2, so luckily that's not.
Ceridwen, the amateur surgeon.
I already did medicine on
I
you.
can fix this. I can fix it.
She's not doing surgery. She is just wrapping the wounds. So I'm going to. Okay,
Versus-
mix. I mean, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Just pushing through until later, until it's safer to do the first one. So yeah, she's just focused. She's hyper focused on the task at hand and trying not to jostle Gear. She has no idea, and none of us know that Gear is separated from himself in that way.
is the body alive? Do we know that?
I'm assuming so.
There's
Yeah.
like
It's
in
like a husk.
yeah,
right?
he's
Yeah,
essentially like a coma.
unconsciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least a seriously unconscious state. Okay, so as long as he's okay, I just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure
I
there was
was
still a
pretty sure
breath
he
and a
was-
heartbeat.
I was pretty
it's been
sure
3
he was
weeks.
still
I wasn't sure.
alive.
Okay,
Yeah, no, husk is.
that's the word. Yeah.
Yeah, husk is an appropriate term.
We need to fix what's wrong with him, but I don't want to be doing it anywhere around here.
A husk is what remains of an Ironlander whose body, mind, and soul are hollowed out by dark magic. Yeah.
Yep,
Wow.
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Hey, Austin, you didn't tell us you knew Sean Tompkin.
Sean Tompkin is my people. So,
We need to
Ooh.
get to Malwyn.
Oh, yeah, make of that what you will. All right. I don't even want to look at that. I don't even want to know what it can
Amala, and she'll try to help Amala.
do.
roll
Vertical.
initiative.
Yeah.
Amala is seriously torn. I mean, she wants to go to gear, but she's afraid to go to gear.
Amala, are you all right?
Uh, um, I don't think so. Is gear all right?
He's breathing, but he's not moving, and we have to get to Malwyn. There's only so much any of us can do here to help him. There's iron in his bones.
No, that's not right. I pushed him back. I pushed him back. That's not right. And I sort of scramble my way over.
And there's the hook. It's the iron hooks in the bone,
Like
correct? Yeah.
In
They're
the
like-
rib bone.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. We cut everything off, but those are there, and
All the sinew and
yeah, the nasty bits, and
The ick. You guys gonna do field medicine, or you guys gonna take him somewhere?
no, we're gonna take him to
Talking-
Malwind.
Which
We're
we're
halfway to
halfway.
Take him
Yeah.
somewhere.
because
Yeah.
he got moved closer to Malwind, so it's
Mhm.
yeah. We have to move. If are you sure you're okay?
No, no, but I don't, no. Don't worry about me. Let's get gear.
I think you're gonna have to be okay on the move, miss.
I'm okay enough. I'm, where's, and I start looking for the crows and the owl and the wolf and the,
Our menagerie.
Yeah, and
yeah.
as inhuman as it sounds, I'm tying gear to the horse because it I mean, he'd just fall off. So
Yeah, actually, Ceridwen will get on behind him and try to keep it that
Oh,
steady
okay.
too, so nothing is jostled too much.
okay, hops on his horse.
So what? So as they're getting and starting to move, how do I find the critters? Because I'm not
Do you?
just gonna move on until I find them. So
Sure.
what does it take, gear, for me to find them, and what do I find?
Ooh.
Oh, you have to get
Your
away from the body.
your only connection. No, I guess not your only connection. Your strongest connection to them is kind of out of commission. But yeah, you would definitely have to get away from Gear's body.
Well, so as they start moving on, okay, so obviously as they move on and I'm still, this isn't right, but there isn't anything I can do for gear at all. I know that with absolute certainty.
At least
So
in the field.
as the other
You-
horses and all move on,
Yeah, and we got a weak hit on the Undertaker journey, so we make it there, but we get -1 supply,
so
which makes sense because we tied gear around the horse and stuff.
so do they stop by me? Do they bypass me so they're going on behind the party and I don't know that?
The white mane would not.
Would not
For-
which?
Would not come near you for the meantime. But
The
you would
owl-
see the. Go ahead, Kevin.
I was just gonna say the owl. I think would wait until you were far enough away and then interpose. For some reason, I've got it interposes itself between you and the party, and then lets you see it.
Who? Which?
The red crest.
Oh,
the red
okay.
crest. Yeah. No, I don't.
Is-
I'll let you, I mean, the Wolfren you've had longer than.
I don't know if you've thought about this much, but is Gear conscious of this change, or is it the Wolfren with maybe more of a human understanding?
There's a. It's like co-piloting almost. There's this kind of Gear taking the back seat, but still in physical control. But they're sharing this space. But Gear still has an anchor in his body,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
there's this feeling of rot and burning in his chest, but it's so numb and in the background that it's kind of second to what's happening right here, right now.
I know in the intros at the start, it was my hair, my breath. You were first
My paws,
person
my
in the
fur.
wolf. Yeah, first person in the Wolfren. So, what would the Wolfren do when Mala dropped back?
Now, Gear doesn't know this, or Gear knows this, but he's still unsure. He doesn't know if it was a dream or not. But when he was watching, when he was being strung up for this ritual, he didn't see Callista do it. When he reached out to grab onto something, he didn't grab onto Callista, he grabbed onto Amala.
Mhm.
So the white mane is following you And the Red Crest is trying to stop Amala.
Yeah, trying to cut you off, make you stop so that the wolfman can come to you.
And the crows are fluttering back and forth between.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So okay. Well, so I'm looking for them. I am confronted by the Red Crest. And I stand and look hopeless.
And you are sighted.
Just keeps looking past you. Nice timing, soundtrack. It's looking for the wolf.
So,
And Ceridwen will be kind of looking back, kind of like make like head checking, and so
Yeah.
she'll notice that Amala's kind of fallen back, but kind of like keep moving, but also keep an eye.
Bill's
Amala-
gonna keep moving with the horse with Gear's body on it because it's like this. He can't carry him, but this is his taking Shenda back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amala, you would be standing there facing the Red Crest and watching the White Mane kind of disappear away from you. But as you look into the Red Crest's eyes, you have sighted, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you look into the sage eyes of this creature, you would see reflected back at you the entire scene, but rather than from Gear's perspective, you would see it from Callista's perspective. The knife would be in your hands. And you would watch Gear laying out, and the strings pulling him, suspending him up off the ground. This some connection that you have with Callista.
Yeah.
And I tugged on that later. And seeing that, I just stagger forward under the weight of it. Until I'm down on my knees in front of the Red Crest. And the whole thing plays over and over, between each breath, between each heartbeat. And I still can't find a different outcome. It still comes out the same way every time.
When you look up to the Red Crest, its eyes are fixed down on you. And as the crows kind of begin to land in this circle around you, surrounded by all of these eyes watching you,
Mm.
waiting to see what your next move is.
And all of the eyes that is so like that creature of Callista's. I shudder at the memory of that. And as I'm starting to drown in this, Strongcock comes forward and starts scolding the Red Crest.
In the back of your head, you hear Weena's voice, repeating the same thing she last said to you. I think it's time for you to return as well. And do you feel in your, I don't remember which hand it was, the light that Zahn gave you,
Left hand.
left hand, you feel that restored by Lena.
And so feeling that disconnect of walking in the shaman's realm rather than the mortal realm, I stand up and I stand briefly, submissively in front of the red crest. And then I step around it to follow the party. I'll follow on foot, so I'm going to be slow.
Horse just walking behind you.
That's their name, horse.
Horse. We haven't named
We've got
anyone
Brahm,
but Brahm.
horse. We've got horse,
Horse
horse,
two.
Brahm, and horse.
Horse the second and horse the third.
The old
You
saying
gotta
is you
name your
never.
horses, dude. Like,
No. There's a very old rule. You never name your horse because you might have to eat him.
Oh.
Brandon will have your skin.
Brandon, plug your ears.
Don't listen. Yeah. So, and every now and then, Ceridwen will look back and check, like, Bill, Amala, all the animals, and keep going. But like, it'll be kind of more of a cursory thing since she doesn't know how much time Gear has.
Yeah. The only thing I want to do is I drop back beside the horse that Gear is that you guys are on, and I just reach up and I look at you just before I do it, and I put my hand on his leg, and I look up at you and say, "Well, I know, Shaman Amala puts light into people, and it makes them better. You know, I can't do that, and she's not here. But I'm wondering if the opposite might not be a good idea." And I slap my hand on his leg and try for all the. There's no reason why this should work. Try for all my effort to suck the shadow out of Gear.
I mean, he did it with Ceridwen, you know, with the shield. So
I slap him on the butt.
Wake up! If that don't wake him up, nothing will.
Right on the hurt one that got shot in the first episode.
But his whole body is thrashed.
Still healing.
Yeah, it's only been a couple weeks.
It's been 2 weeks.
For what it's worth, make of that what you will, Gear. Just it's a story point. I'm not rolling anything. I don't even know if he'd notice. But.
And so, yeah, we make it to Melwind on, you know, a regular schedule. Just we lose one supply, which I imagine is just what we use to help cut Gear down and to like close any open wounds and like, you know, with like, you know, cloth and stuff. So I imagine that's the supply we lost. So now we're to 4. We're up to 5 because of Kinheim. So yeah, we make it to Melwind, and it's part of Ceridwen's circle, and it's a little bit smaller than Kinheim, but it's kind of at the base of the mountains, of the Veiled Mountains, these large snow-capped peaks that are just devastatingly overwhelming in their mass and size, with paths that have been meticulously discovered and carved through just time. And so this is like the main hub of like where everything from the circle kind of goes through and then works the trade route to Kinheim and such. And so it's a mixture of, you know, huts, with cloth and hide, and closer to the mountains, there's a few pit houses in the back that are like dug into the earth and kind of with a dome over it to keep in heat, or keep it cool depending on temperature. And there are livestock and crops being grown in this area where it's not too cold and it's not too rocky yet. So it's just kind of a smaller setting that we kind of come across that seems oddly peaceful for what we just encountered.
Yeah.
So you're arriving early-ish morning?
I'm assuming so, because we basically were up all night, so I'm assuming it's relatively early in the morning.
Absolutely haggard.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Since when have we ever gotten a good night's sleep? Come on.
And Dawson says that with such glee.
And as you guys enter, the White Mane is nowhere to be seen, but she would have found a beautiful place to sit that she could see the entire town from the trees. And sitting right beside her, his hands on his knees, just watching, keeping an eye on all of you.
And yeah, and that wouldn't, at least for Ceridwen and Bill, who hadn't seen the interaction with Amala, wouldn't be odd, because the Wolfren would often not come into the cities we went to. So
It's weird if you can see her more times a day than
yeah,
not.
yeah, kind of like the Uwilla that this kind of hangs out in nature, because that's what they do. Coming
So-
in with a full pack of animals is probably
Yeah.
the best thing to do.
Gonna draw attention at the very least. Speaking of drawing attention, Ceridwen. This, I don't think there's a role here. Somebody here is going to recognize you. Right?
Yes, if they don't recognize her on sight, her name will either first, or her family name will definitely be recognized, because they are a part of the same circle. She might not know anyone that specifically is there at this time, but
And
they
you're
will
on
know
this
of
trade
her.
route all the time, right? So
And depending on what Vaden has spread across the circle, it could be much more high profile than previous.
Well, isn't he the headman of Frostmouth?
Frostmouth, yes, but we're in Malwind. Well, he's not
Yeah.
the head man of Frostmouth, but he's one of the
Okay.
elders.
he's
So
an
yeah,
upper,
as you would be known in the
And this
associated
is-
circles.
Would be
as his
known,
wife.
and also just sister of one of the traders that comes through and has come through before, and she left her steading one hunter down to go after her brother. Like, it's
and
all
then,
of it is
and then
bad
attacked
press.
him, and then attacked him brutally for no reason, because that's the story that would have gotten back here, right?
Mhm.
So I guess that's what I was asking. You're somewhere between, oh, I recognize that person, and hey, that person's wanted.
Oh, that person, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
only did she attack him viciously, but to mock him, she threw a stake at him.
Well, that was his brother. That was his brother, who is now dead. That didn't
Yeah.
come back.
Oh, so
And then
that's
she
better.
killed
'Cause
him.
don't worry, he's dead. Yeah, she came back. The stake wasn't enough. She came back and killed him. You
By
gotta
the
think
time
this is the story that they
reaches
got,
here,
right?
by
Yeah.
the time the story reaches here, legend says she beat him to death with a hawk of meat.
Well, I heard. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
she did break a couple of Vaden's ribs when she tried to leave to go after Kadal. So
See, violence right there.
But he's
Yeah.
old
We
and
should have seen
fragile,
it in
so
her.
he's old. He's old as balls. Anyway, so yes, she would be recognized, and whether the reputation is good or bad is dependent on, I guess, the person and
Yeah.
how high profile she has been made out to be.
There's
at
an
this
oracle for that.
Yes.
Oh, is there? Is there an oracle for beating somebody with meat and then having a reputation for it?
How could they not have one for that?
That seems unlikely. It's such a common occurrence.
Plus-
Thanks, Sean
and
Tompkins.
you, and you get +3. Yeah, you get +3 to beating people with haunches of meat.
Only if you have proficiency.
Only if you're
if
good
you
at
have
it.
that
Yes.
asset. Otherwise,
Yeah, that asset,
Let's
yeah.
see the ask the oracle.
Plus
So
iron.
how likely is it that Ceridwen is going to be received
Really?
Weirdly, I like that.
negatively by
Yes.
majority?
What
Likely.
percentage is our thing is going to go really bad, really fast?
Yeah,
I think likely.
You guys
likely.
are
I
starting
think
to
it's
sound like
likely, at
me.
least, yeah. I think, but in this case, it is, yeah, yes.
Haha, yes.
No
I
question.
mean, I figured, but you know, there could have been a chance.
Yeah.
You have no power here.
You naive child, thinking that there was a chance for you.
So you get close to the gates. I mean, that's a pretty likely. Uh,
Yeah, that was a pretty definitive, and she's not even anymore not like thinking about that aspect of it right now. She's just thinking we need to get help for gear,
Absolutely.
and anything else is in the back of her head because she had those concerns about going specifically to Frostmouth, but never really dwelled on the other facts because that wasn't something she could afford to. Because it's like, well, what happens. What are we gonna do? Climb a mountain? Like,
Yeah. Well, plus, I just realized it's normal for you now, but you come back to this steading with a dead man strapped to a horse, from what it appears, a woman, clearly a shaman dressed in furs, and
I'm
a man
not there
who's
yet.
Oh no, you're not there
she's
yet.
far behind
and,
with the horse.
Right.
We've
Well,
got a
and
procession
then
of 4 horses, 2 of which
and a
are
man
not
who's
ridden.
kind of hard to see. So yeah.
Yeah, and a bunch of crows and maybe the
Yeah.
hint of an animal here and there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And yeah.
Considering what she left with, which was herself and Brom, like, it's,
Yes.
yeah.
There's now also a great sense of foreboding and gloom, I think, also riding along
Big
this
dark
trail.
cloud.
And so as you're like zombieing up to the gate, you don't notice the sound of the gate slamming shut. What you do notice is the sound of bowstrings being tightened and drawn back.
And yeah, when she notices that, she will look to Bill.
Murder him.
No!
Welcome home, miss.
She will get off the horse and hand the reins of this horse to Bill.
Yep.
So that gear is still
Got them both now. Yeah.
safe just in case something spooks the horse, should that happen.
Yep.
And
Be nice to my body, please.
I'm trying my best. To be fair, I'm
I
not the
don't
one
think
that
he
did
was
any
talking
of
to
this.
you.
And she will kind of like look up towards the gates, which she knows very well, and she probably knows the faces of some of the people, but not necessarily all the names.
Yep.
And she will kind of like put her hands up like she doesn't have a weapon on her. She looks dead on her feet and will walk towards the gate. Towards whoever is there. That.
Oh, am I playing the gate guys
Who
now?
wants to have fun being one of the gate
Well,
guys?
you're unconscious, so why don't you play the gate guy? Yeah.
Well, I'm not there. Who goes?
There you go. That works too.
It's Ceridwen and Alir.
And what business have you here?
I'm going towards Frostmouth with my circle, my friends in my circle.
You
And
know
one
the
of-
route around.
We need help. One of my friends is very injured.
And so what do you expect from us about it?
Help. It's what you do. It's what we do.
And you think you're part of us still?
Perhaps I'm not. But I know even for strangers you help them, and that man needs help. Forget about me.
So what did you do to him?
I did nothing. This instance. I don't say that.
I shot him in the ass.
Yeah,
This
shot
is
him in the
where-
ass 2 weeks ago. The arrow is
This
still
is
there.
this is where Bill pipes up and says, "She only saved his life."
He doesn't look very saved.
Believe me, it was worse before.
You can come in. Pointing at
Wait.
Bill.
So,
Are you all right with that, miss? To be honest, someone should probably go looking for the critters anyway.
you go in.
And someone's got to wait for the shaman as well.
And if anything seems amiss, you signal in some way.
If anything goes amiss, miss, you'll find out because I'll come out that gate at the fastest gallop you ever seen with old gear dragging behind by 1 foot on the ground if I have to.
Try not to.
Nice to my
Only
body.
only if I really must, miss.
And she'll look at the guards.
Consider yourself summoned to Frostmouth. I'm sure the council wants to talk to you. Nods
Just
down.
loud enough to be heard as I go through the gate. Well, he told me your lot were really polite.
And so you're allowed in. It's closed really
Bollocks.
quickly after, and there are
Yeah.
still
Yeah,
there's still
Ceridwen does not make a
archers.
move to
Oh,
go
yeah.
There's
in.
still archers in the back, both aimed outside towards Ceridwen and monitoring very closely.
Yeah. I am
Down to you.
willfully not looking at them and just ignoring. I know they're there, but I'm just ignoring them completely. We were invited in. This is he's calling these guys out on their hospitality.
Split
speaking of
the
which-
party.
Speaking of which way's the infirmary? Right, quick then. We don't even know what's wrong with him.
Over that way.
Right, you've been a great help. Oh, by the way, you know that one what you left outside? 10 times the hero you'll ever be.
And one of the probably
Yeah.
younger ones snarls and starts lunging forward with a weapon until somebody grabs him and pulls him back and mutters
Don't
something about
you
not
dare,
worth it.
Sonny. Don't you dare.
That was how
Take
Bill got
gear
shot
up.
for the first time.
Yeah.
And Bill got shot in the
For the
ass.
first time?
Apparently that's
Yeah.
apparently that's a greeting for Ceridwen
For
Circle.
Frostmithians.
For the Wayridden clan, it's to shoot
Those
someone
mountain
in
folks have always
the
been a
buttock.
bit peculiar.
Top of the sore ass too.
You
Yeah.
know, they're stuck in the mountains all year. You know, they get kind of randy. You know.
My people make saddles with strategically placed holes in them for your war wounds.
Gotta go see the in-laws. Won't be able to sit right for weeks.
But
This
yeah,
is
I
all
will
going
take
on the
him
wiki,
right to.
apparently.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
will take
well.
him right to the
Notable
infirmary and
quotes,
then
yes.
And the
then
infirmary is
lean
actually
in.
a rather small hut that they have, and it doesn't look like like the ones in Kenheim or Grey Barrow or anything like that. It doesn't look like a shaman hut. It just simply looks it smells medicinal and it looks very organized. And in the back there's a young man sitting in the back, kind of puttering around before he looks up and sees you.
Like
And
Young man.
you are? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are?
I'm the one what's got the injured friend outside.
Injured friend. Oh, yes. Sorry, Taryn. Bring him in.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Send the old man who's already injured out to pick up the guy and bring him inside. That's right. Very good. Tell me you people were polite. Back outside and drag gear off the
Oh,
horse
and
and,
he'll
back
go
That's
and
how
help.
Bill got shot the second time.
He'll go help. He wasn't sure of
Yeah.
the state, so he
Yeah.
comes out and kind of
Yeah.
helps.
inside and get him down on the bed.
Yeah, and he'll kind of gingerly, as best he can, to not lay him on any of the worst wounds.
Yeah.
And Gear's body is kind of, you can see his skin has turned pale, the color's gone from it. He is sweating profusely. It's hard to hold on to him. And the bindings around his abdomen are black as the blood has been turned this color.
Mm-hmm. What on earth
What the fuck?
happened?
And when I look around the infirmary, I mean, you've kind of hinted at it. He's very scientifically minded, so there's like bottles of medication.
Yeah, very
and stuff that is-
alchemical, very
It, it's easy to see his approach. So I'll say to him, I take it you're not a believer in the supernatural, then?
Oh, I believe it.
But
Ritual.
not a
Shamanism.
not a user. Not a user. It looks like. And I'm openly looking at his medicine supply.
Not in the traditional sense. Anyway.
Right. Well, then I'll tell you what happened to his body. You see all them hooks in it?
Yes, that's the most
He-
concerning bit.
He were hung up by those in trees, he was. You see what that done to his body? It done pretty much the same thing to his mind as far as I can tell.
Yes, and he's gonna be, as he's talking to you, kind of methodically removing the bandages, kind of just like, it's almost ceremonial in a way, like he's doing it very respectfully, very, cleanly, not with as much
Refusing to look down. Like, I don't want to see this.
No, that's okay. He doesn't seem, he's surprised by it. He doesn't seem absolutely like disgusted by it, but he is definitely something he's never seen before.
Because I'm watching him. I want to see his.
But he's trying to figure out what to do, where everything is, what's happening, what kind of basically just the diagnostic part of healing, and trying to figure out what to do about it. And
You said his name was Taryn?
Taryn, yeah.
You ever seen anything like this before?
No, he shouldn't be alive.
I know.
By all accounts.
He's tougher than all that, though. He's tougher than a lot of things. He got shot in the arse just after I met him.
Okay. Does that need being looked at as well?
I wouldn't look at his arse if I were you.
Right. Well, the first thing I need to do is get the iron out of his bone. That's, who knows what that'll do. And he'll kind of look at the black that's kind of spread up his bones a little bit that was mentioned before.
Yeah.
And he'll get up very quickly and go to the back and kind of rummage around and grab some things, grab some herbs off of the drying line, and a few bottles and a few tools cast in bronze, actually. And he'll come back and kind of sit down beside him and look up at you. Do you wish to stay for this?
I was just going to say I'll piss off and leave you to it then, shall I?
And right about then, the door bursts open and someone comes rushing in. Taryn, you've got to come right now. Pierce's foot, he was out scything and he got caught with his own scythe and his foot's half off. You've got to come right now.
I've got a bit of an issue.
He's bleeding. His foot was just practically cut off by the scythe. Didn't you hear me? You've got to come right now.
We're Taryn, what were your plan? You just pulling him out with them tools? The iron bits?
No, it's more distinct than that. And he'll get up and like he'll grab some more herbs, grab some like bandage wraps, and like shove them in Bill's arms. And say, "Go with her. See what you can do. I'll see what I can do here."
I thought that were going to be the other way around, but all right, I can wrap a foot meeting out the door. Yeah. I'll head out the door with this idiot.
So I figure at the very least he can get them all.
Yeah.
Karen doesn't know that, but he doesn't know Bill's skills either.
Nope. So yeah, I will head out with this complete stranger, a handful of bandages and gauze.
I was
To wrap
tempted
a
to
wound
make a
as-
joke that Bill was sitting there poking stuff in the wound, and then
I
you
was
guys are like,
expecting to get left
"No,
with
he's
you, and I was
he's gonna go in there with
gonna be-
tools."
I know. I was trying to figure that out, but I'm like, this guy. He saw the depth of this wound. Like, he's not going to be like, oh yeah, you take care of it. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, Bill's just
Um,
panicking, so it's all good.
yeah.
That's all good.
So yes, that leaves Gear alone with the doctor we just met.
Taryn, yeah.
Bill is
then
alone with
Bill going
a
off with
crazed
that
citizen we just
individual.
met.
And then
Yep.
Ceridwen
Meanwhile,
is out by the
outside.
gates waiting for Amala.
You guys left my body alone
With this,
we didn't have
with
much
this
of a
science
choice.
doctor dude. Yeah,
Doctor?
while we're
Yeah.
being stalked by he who walks behind and Callista.
yeah. Apparently, yeah.
Ceridwen didn't have much of a choice.
Uh-oh.
So Ceridwen
Speaking
kind
of Ceridwen,
she took a few steps back from the gates to kind of like she wasn't gonna try. It's not like she's gonna try anything. She's not touching her weapon because she knows that will do nothing. Brahm is out with her because naturally he's her companion, and so she'll just kind of wait for Amala, knowing that she was following behind on foot for whenever she arrives, or if any of the animals show up or something like that. She'll kind of look around to try and see if they're there. But
I figure it would take Mala probably a couple of hours longer than the rest of the party to get there. And you'll have plenty of notice when she's nearing because you'll start getting, a crow and then a couple more crows will show up. And then, it's
The entourage.
yeah, as the entourage sort of starts arriving. And then you see a cloud. Eventually, when she's getting really close, you see a cloud of crows fluttering around over there. So, I mean, it's not subtle.
And then Ceridwen might even go and like meet her like part way just because she's
get her a little faster.
Well, and she's doesn't know what else to do. She has like all this pent up energy and the stress and just everything that's happened, and otherwise she's gonna be stuck with her own head, and she's like can't do anything else. So she's gonna go and see if Amala needs anything, if she can help.
Just before you ride away, because we've only been aside for
sooner, but yeah.
Okay, so she comes and approaches, and she finds Amala walking the crows sort of fluttering in and out and squawking, and this is unusual behavior. It's almost like they're worried.
Do they let Ceridwen near her?
Yes, they'll let Ceridwen near.
Okay.
And Amala is not, I mean, you've seen her shadowed. She's not shadowed. It's
haunted?
It's vacant. Neither light nor shadows nor dark. Just walking.
And she'll kind of go up next to her, get off Brahm and go up next to her. Amala?
How's Gear?
I don't know.
There's a pause because
I have to not look at Austin here.
Yeah, I don't know
there's
why.
a pause because we all know what this means.
And I'm going to change the top part of my screen is blocked.
I was very confused because the two guys were having very different reactions to what Karen
Yeah, okay, they're blocked now. I can only see you. So
okay.
We can converse.
Bill brought him in to Malwind. I don't know how he is. Amala, what's wrong? I mean, aside from
the obvious. I think that I don't know what you saw when the beacon called you to Gear.
We saw it And then the black tried to engulf us.
He was just toying. Callista had gear. And she staged in the spirit realm, she staged this sacrifice.
Sorry, I didn't want to stop this. The scene was amazing.
Yeah, it was a very good scene. I just noticed the things cut off from me.
And we
Okay,
are
I think we're back.
Yeah, we are back. Sorry about that, anybody who's watching. That was a boo-boo on my part entirely. I can't even blame this one on the internet. This was me. So, back where we were.
Yeah, I don't know what the last thing they heard was.
You guys
Similar
had
to
the
my recap,
conversation.
though. Similar to my recap, though.
Yes.
Yeah,
They
just
didn't-
recapping
They
Ceridwen,
didn't miss any.
basically.
I was recapping for Ceridwen what I recapped for the viewers back at the beginning.
There we go. In fact, yeah, it probably couldn't have happened at a better time.
Yeah. So he was bound by his own blood. And I couldn't reach him. All I could do was be with him until you got to his body.
We did our best. I don't know if we did it right.
I've never seen anything like this.
It shouldn't surprise us anymore, I guess, that we're seeing things we've never seen.
Yeah. What? 10 days ago? A little over? I was a shaman's apprentice. Ditching my duties out wandering by the lake. And look where we are now. She said something about me going around and filling all these people with iron that she could then feed off of. Isn't that a charming sight? Thought.
That's if she was using Gear's blood, everyone has that in them already, don't they?
I don't know. I don't know anyone else who uses their blood the way Gear does.
No.
I don't. There's something different about Gear, and she tapped into, but it wasn't just her. I mean, she's toying with this stuff. She's toying with this bone and blood magic, and she was putting on a display, trying to show. I don't know what message she was trying to get through, but she's a pawn in this. Because he who walks behind was there too. I mean, she had this sort of circle thing with these. You remember that thing, that tentacly black thing I described to you that I saw outside of our circle? Yeah.
The one that tried to engulf us.
Yeah. Well, so I put my circle and binding around her and inside of that, but he who walks behind was outside of that, ready to engulf all of that. So but if they're feeding on iron, if they're feeding on bone and blood magic, how do we starve them of this? How do we?
We'll figure it out. Just try to take a breath.
I keep thinking through it again and again. You know, how could I have gotten there faster? Could I have kept him inside the circle? Could I have
Amala, you know, if Gear was trying to leave, there was nothing you could have done to stop him. You know that.
Did I not communicate what was out there? Should I have known better what was out there? I mean, he was
Amala,
played out like the sacrifices.
Amala, it's not your fault. None of this is your fault. You saved him. There was no way I could have done what you did. I don't know if Bill could have done what you did.
But she was trying to talk to me. If I hadn't been there, she wouldn't have done that at all.
If you hadn't been there, if you hadn't have been with us in any of this, I don't know if any of us would have survived. And if you hadn't gone there, then Gear may have died. We don't know what's happening, and it's scary. God, it's terrifying. But that doesn't mean that it's not that we're not trying hard enough. It's just that we need to do something different. I don't know what she said to you or what happened exactly, but I know you did everything you could.
We need to do something different. Ceridwen, we have to get to gear. We have to get to gear. Let's go.
And Ceridwen will get her there and like on the horses and on the move and will.
Yeah, by the time you get back, Bill's gone. He's out in the field somewhere wrapping a foot. So
Well,
you guys-
and Ceridwen, Amala will notice that Ceridwen will stop short from the gates and let Amala go forward. And she will shout ahead, let her in.
Wait. What? Oh, wait, I'm the guards.
Well, there could be another
so-
one there too.
yeah, there's been a
Austin,
shift change.
there's been a shift
Yeah.
change. Austin,
Yeah.
you be a guard.
The afternoon guard now.
I'm going to punctuate something here, as you guys are, because Cared, when you had to travel back to meet Amala, right?
Yeah, about halfway. So
Uh-huh.
maybe,
So
yeah.
you guys are a
bit
little ways off, but as you almost to punctuate when Amala finally comes across that thought, a shrill scree as the red-winged owl rips past you guys, going straight towards the gate.
Okay,
because
so I'm following
if
the red
we-
crest.
If
Yeah.
we go back in time just a little bit here,
Go for it.
Mhm.
Gear is sitting on this little grassy knoll right next to the White Mane, locked in this position, and he watches as the city becomes, or this little circle becomes busy with the news of injury, and as people begin to move towards the fields. And he watches Bill come out of the tent, just like dropping things as he runs.
Yep.
He watches as, and this is not in the shadow realm, this is not in the material realm, this is somewhere in between all of these places, somewhere where they all connect, that Gear
Kind
is
of
sitting here.
metaphysical.
Mhm.
It's the spirit realm, if you will,
Yes. Sure.
where things are not as they seem, they're all symbolistic of each other, if that's a word.
Is now.
And- Going in the Austin
Symbolic. It would
dictionary.
be symbolic, but symbolistic is fun.
Symbology. And so Gear sits there and he watches, and he's been kind of laying about, but kind of perks up as he and the White Mane together begin to feel this force descending on them, as Bill runs off, and immediately the darkness begins to form as this black-winged raven, massive, begins to descend on the tent and vanish into it.
He who walks behind does not miss a trick. You turn your eyes away for a single second, and
Yep.
he's there to grab the opportunity.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
Gear and the
Oh,
White
God.
Mane overlapping in this instance. Gear on 2 legs, the White Mane on 4. It's ripping down the hill into this circle.
And again, Ceridwen will stop short to let Amala go forward, and just whoever is on guard will say, "Let her in."
Ceridwen, come. And Amala is going to use sheer force of will and shamanistic stature, and she's going to get out of my way. Move. You, come with me. That's you.
Yep.
You.
So,
Come with me.
2 minutes before this exchange, there's a little cutscene that you guys are not a part of where one of the guards goes, I heard that guy got his leg cut off. I'm going to go check it out. You watch the gate. And scampers off. And so there's only one there, and he's not really paying attention to you guys. He's more like,
Yeah.
shit. I want to see the guy's leg too.
Yeah.
And so you guys get there, and he's sitting there like,
You open this gate now.
and he,
And
without,
it's a
he's
shaman
still kind of,
standing there.
yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't know Amala, but she's a shaman, so
And he's still just off like, dang, I wonder if it's like, as he's got the other hand cranking the gate open, he's like,
Yeah.
Ceridwen, do you go in too?
How many archers are still here?
None that are drawing weapons. It's
Okay,
just
then
all
she'll
of them
go in.
like,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, as if they seem all distracted by this occurrence, then she'll go in after.
and is this a pretty open circle? And well, this is just a steading of a
This is a
huge
steading.
circle, right?
It's not big. It's smaller than Kinheim, but it's rather open air type because it's right in the mountains and there's trees there, and then there's the livestock and stuff on the outside. But
Ceridwen, you would be attuned to the sound of scuffle and chaos in the center of this circle, as moments before this, the White Mane has entered the infirmary to see, what was the name of the guy? Taryn?
Taryn.
Taryn.
Yeah.
Standing there with his, and this is what he sees in the spirit realm, the red over the eyes and the black kind of puppet strings as Taryn is hanging over Gear, and behind him just the shadow dancing the strings, and the White Mane tears this young person to shreds.
Oh, sorry, chat.
okay
And-
then.
I couldn't help myself.
Yeah. Last name.
The puns, they never stop.
Two of them.
and
Those two.
and puns are a love language. Excuse you. And so Ceridwen will have caught the tail end.
Yeah. Oh.
So what? So, I mean, Amala is focused on Gear, saw the red crest go tearing through, has figured out, it's everybody else is scattering other directions and stuff, but it's pretty clear where the infirmary is. So she is
There's the
very
sound of the White Mane there too.
sound of the White Mane. She's very focused, and heading straight in. So,
Oh, Bill.
What sight? Yeah, poor Pierce is not long for this world, I fear.
No, he's not.
What sight? What?
The state that Gear was in would have been, Taryn was basically, he was trying to use a mixture of these herbs and stuff to like kind of cleanse, kind of like a sage type situation to kind of like cleanse the
Yeah, but
area,
there's been
and
a
then-
few minutes of
a few minutes of that. But
puppetry, and there's
before that,
a
he
wolf
had been
and a large owl in
Yeah.
this small infirmary, and
yeah, so it's a mess, and he is now deceased. Are we not live?
We should be back again now.
okay, we're back again.
Yeah,
now.
we're back,
Okay.
back. Yeah, for the third time. Yeah, I think this computer took more damage in that its day in the heat than I thought it had. We'll see.
Okay.
Back.
Okay,
So-
Austin, what do I see?
Amala and Ceridwen, you're busting through the door too, right?
Yes, through the
Oh.
flaps, flippity
Sorry.
floppy.
Sorry. So
Okay.
you break through this flap, and you see the white mane is just covered in crimson as Gear's body is laying out, and he has just been splashed with blood that is not his, but you can see that his bandages have been cut open, and seemingly something was in the middle of happening here. And the white mane has pinned the young man to the floor and is just shredding him for some reason. And then you hear the sound has now caught the attention of other people in the city that are moving towards you.
Keep them out. So we have a fairly small space,
Me.
a large wolf, a get someone to keep them out, a large owl, and with Amala coming in, a flock of crows. Actually, I'll tell Stormcaw, keep them out.
Stronka.
I need you. Where's Bill? Owl, go get Bill.
Bill's sitting there like,
Just a quick aside. Bill has either bandaged the wrong foot, or he's just stuffed the hole full of gauze and then wrapped it up, and therefore made things horribly wrong.
he's so focused that he's done, and he goes, "All right, I'm done." And the guy goes, "Thanks."
Yeah.
Oh,
But what about
Yeah,
this one?
I rolled a full miss a while ago. How did you do that to both hands? Wow, that's
Yeah, but
amazing.
what-
It's like this
There,
person
the
never felt
hands-
better. This person never felt better, but
The hands are bound to his head, and the legs still bleeding.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a full miss. And I don't even have enough momentum to save it. So yeah. Well, you know, they
So
can yell at
anyways,
Taryn's dead
and
body
Ceridwen will
when
try to
this is
go-
over.
so the crows are supposed to keep the people out. Ceridwen needs to stay here. The owl, sending the owl off to get Bill.
Ceridwen just
Ceridwen will
arrived
go-
in the city and murdered the closest thing they had to a healer.
Yep.
Yeah,
she will try to go.
sicked a
to
wild
the
wolf on
Wolfren.
him.
She will try to go to the Wolfren and see, like, what does he do when she comes near?
And what does he do as Amala comes near?
Yeah, that's what she's trying to gauge.
I think you guys would probably see the tail end of this kind of the descent of this black raven into the tent, Gear's response to it, Gear and the white mane, and then as the puppet is no longer in play here, the retreat of this spirit creature as the white mane goes under the flap and tries to go after it.
Yeah, so Amala would probably feel that more than Ceridwen would know what it is.
You would probably feel that there's something going on here, but this would probably not manifest in the shadow realm or the material realm. This would be like,
It's just 'cause Amala-
it'd be
Amala
like
is
this.
more in tune with
Ooh.
He
spirits
walks
and
behind
and heebity-jeebities than Ceridwen. Yeah, and
This seems like an excellent time to give them all go. You look like you're ready. I was just going to say it's an excellent time to give them all a 15 minutes to think about what happens. But if you're ready to go, go, and you can have the last line.
Give us a good cliffhanger. No pressure.
I don't do.
Just say what comes next.
Well, so I'm kind of torn because I need the Wolfren. But that shadow was just here, and the Wolfren probably knows something I don't. Change of plans. After the Wolfren, get that shadow, and shooing all them out. And I'm gonna start doing a circle here to protect Gear.
is
Go get that
Ceridwen-
shadow. Ceridwen
Ceridwen
probably didn't
involved?
see the shadow.
no, she didn't.
I don't notice that. I'm telling Ceridwen. Let's see. I've got Ceridwen. I've got the crows. After the Wolfren, go get that shadow. And I need the Wolfren back. And start focusing on the circle.
Yeah, she'll
If
try.
you see nothing
yeah.
else, the birds are gone. Right?
Well,
You
and
see
she can see the
birds, they're gone.
Wolfren, so
Yep.
she'll.
Well, and the birds were trying to get hold people back, which means now if they're going after the Wolfren, what's going to happen with the people who are trying to come in? Oh God, that's going to be a mess.
As you
So-
try and get out to
Are
go,
you sure?
From the townspeople's perspective, they watched a wolf go in, an owl go in, two people go in, and then a wolf come out totally bloody, and then Ceridwen come out from underneath the tent.
Well, she's
after
she's
it.
actually checking with Amala, like.
Okay, so she
Are
hasn't
you
left yet.
sure? She hasn't left yet.
Go. We need that shadow gone. We need the wolf run back. We need everybody here. Go. I know that sounds contradictory, but I mean, she's focused. So
Yeah, she won't question it on that regard, and we'll go after the Wolfren then. So she'll then follow the Wolfren house. So then they
You
will
scoot out under the tent just as the locals start to push into the front to find now only Amala and Gear's body on the bed.
and the dead.
Other than that, the room's empty, right?
Tara-
And the dead,
Taryn?
and a completely and
Taryn.
utterly destroyed, ripped up, dead doctor. And we'll figure out how that plays
oh,
out
God, then they're gonna try and hunt the wolf run.
in about
And
15 minutes.
Ceridwen.
And possibly hold all of us responsible, especially after I kill this guy in the field. So
I'm already
with
dead,
that,
so
yeah.
Okay, so
Flesh wound.
So-
It will get better.
how did you beat him to death with his own foot?
You know, I've been part of TPKs before. I've never been part of a TPA, a total party arrest. So, we'll be back in 15 minutes to see if that's what happens. See you
Slap him
shortly.
in irons. Oh.
Come on now, I hit the button. Oh, that's because I did hit the button and they can hear us, but I have to do that and then hit the button so that the picture actually changes. But they came back on the word flashbacks. So, hi, welcome back. Absolutely nothing weird happened during the break. It never does.
Nope, they know. They know.
Those are tears of joy. Those are tears of joy. You get
For
that.
once.
I'm
Yeah,
just hysterical. I'm a hysterical female. Don't mind me. Oh.
What are tears of joy? This confuses me.
Oh,
That's what happens. That's what you cry when the bad things
Just
happen
you
to other
wait.
people. That's tears of joy. Yay! It
No,
wasn't
no,
me.
that's fraud and choice, right?
Yeah.
there.
Fraud and joy. Yes.
Sorry, guys. I guess we weren't quite done. Oh, I have that gauntlet, Austin. I won't forget.
So, before the
On that
break,
ominous note.
a several situations I would suggest come to a head at once. 3 I can think of. One that we can definitely wait on because it's going to be real short. Out in the field, Bill fails miserably. Patient with thighs, the foot is dying in the fields. People standing
At least he's gonna
around
lose
going,
the foot.
you know, what the hell happened here? The stranger showed up instead of the doctor, and he screwed this up, and now Buddy's going to die. Meanwhile,
Fair, it's
in
the guy that got
town,
his foot
foot.
hurt that screwed it up.
He loses a foot and a hand.
yeah.
It's a flesh wound. Like I said, he'll get better.
Meanwhile, in a tent downtown, Amala, unconscious, torn up gear with iron hooks sticking out of him, and a very dead, very murdered doctor are being confronted. Mauled
ripped up
dead
by a
doctor
wolf.
by a wolf are being confronted by some of the locals. Well, a couple of the other locals have watched a wolf and then a Ceridwen come out from underneath the back of a tent, and then a bunch of crows all come out from the tent and bolt off into the countryside.
Probably in the part of the foresty mountainous area.
Yes.
But as I said this in the break to Karis and Austin, but because this setting and the circle in general have a very limited experience with rituals and shamans, part of Amala's shamanism and her authority in that regard would probably be enough to like put pause on the people around the tent at least.
Absolutely.
So that maybe she can get something
Especially if I do it
done.
fast and confidently.
If you
before
do
they
it
have a chance to think
confidently,
about
and
it.
if you do it firmly, they will probably take it as this is someone who knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah,
Just-
and you've already got a history because you blew your way in here. Like that's exactly how you came in. Was just
No
sheer
guarantee
force
about
of will,
protection
right?
for Ceridwen. Ceridwen is good as gone.
Just-
But you know,
Throwing this out
You
there.
and a blood-soaked wolf just fled the scene of a horrible crime.
Yeah, and as
So
far as they
the,
know, I'm
the,
fleeing.
the first
Yeah.
couple of people,
Yep.
you could be chasing the wolf, trying to get the wolf. They're going to be hunting the wolf, but which I'm going to have to stop somehow. But so the first two people who come in see the dead body on the floor, the flayed body on the table, and
a woman covered in pelts.
a
Just
woman
saying.
Sitting there.
scrambling around, scrambling through all of the things on the tables, on the shelves,
Crash,
everything else.
bang.
When she grabs something, she grabs something, tosses it towards the door, she grabs something else, tosses it to the door. You
Sniffing
get everything
stuff
of
and-
iron you can find. It needs to be outside this tent, outside right now. But gather as much as you can. Iron. Do you understand me? And get these things out of here. They're iron. Get them out of here. Take them out with you around the tent. Here, help you.
They
help
don't
me
have
find
a
it.
lot
You
of
search that
iron.
over there. I know
Yeah,
they don't, but that's
still,
why the very
yeah.
few things they have.
Yes. Yep.
You help me search this. There must be not a single bit of iron in here. All the iron should be outside and around. You got that? Do it. And I, back to doing.
And I imagine some of the younger ones that came in first are like, "Oh yes, ma'am." Like they don't know who you are.
I'm gonna top that by one. That was such a really good idea. One of those young people reaches up under his shirt and pulls out. He's got a leather necklace on, and there's a little stone at the end of it. He starts untying and untying, and he takes it off. He starts walking around, and he goes thunk, and sticks against something.
Ooh,
He opens
very
up this
nice.
box and pulls out a little iron ring. He's got a
Perfect.
magnet.
You're now in charge of that. Iron out of here, out around the outside. Okay, got it? You're in charge.
He's
Do
just
it.
dousing
Perfect.
with it.
He's dousing for iron, and every time he finds
It's
a piece, he
magnetic.
just flings it out like yeah, exactly. He just
I
flings
just
it out the
imagine,
door
okay,
and just
I
keeps
just
going.
imagine someone coming up to the tent, whack.
Ping! Yeah, just little bits of iron coming flying out
Walking
on her.
by the tent and just getting totally wrecked.
Yeah,
Dead.
just a nail in the
So-
ear or something. Yeah.
Ooh.
I just want to throw this out there for you, Amala. Should you find this information at all important,
Do tell.
if you're looking for resources to use, you have a plethora of both bone and blood. Just
I
dangling
have
that
that
little carrot
gauntlet.
in front of you.
I have that
And
gauntlet,
it's still
Mr.
warm.
Austin.
It's still warm, fresh blood.
Oh, okay. But he also has a shit ton of animal bones. That is canon.
Bones and blood. And it's already in a circle for you.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to
Around
get
his
rid of
body.
the iron. I'm not going to get rid of your iron, but we're going to get rid of all the rest of the iron. You, don't touch that. Not that iron. Don't worry about that. We'll deal with that later. The rest of it.
Yep.
And bursting out, where the hell's the rest of my circle? I need a wolf. I need a large owl, a bunch of crows, a woman, a man. Where are these people?
One woman and one man.
Bring me a shrubbery.
Probably don't need the horses, but
And a herring.
just in case. And I just
And
turn
your
around and storm back in.
your magnet swinging person having finished the room. Most people go. Most people do exactly what they're told. One or two of them are slowly starting to go, and they turn, and with all the power they can muster, "You heard the lady. Go!" And it's enough to get those last two people to get in gear and start to follow. You are now clearly in charge of this tent.
And I imagine Bill would be coming back around. It took us a while to get
Bill,
all of that.
I got a little scene I want to paint for Bill, but we don't have to do that right now. It's
He
not
goes
time
like
sensitive.
this, hand me something. So when he puts an axe in his hand, he goes, I can work with this.
That'll work.
Now, the reason that Amala has such control over this is because the only people left here are civilians.
Yes.
All the guards have gone after the wolf and Ceridwen.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
Yeah, well, because
you
they
guys
already
say-
dislike and distrust Ceridwen, and she is basically wanted by her steading. And
Yes.
then, of course, the wolf
Yeah, she's
covered in
wanted by
blood,
me too, but
but they don't know that outside of this context.
Yeah.
And the people outside the tent don't know that Amala has taken charge inside the tent. So the people that are chasing you are chasing a killer and their crazed wolf. Just did something horrible in a tent. So,
And Ceridwen, while she probably did not see them following right away, knows that this is a concern. Um,
That Amala
uh,
didn't think of, yeah.
trying to follow the Wolfren because Amala mentioned something about the shadow spirit, but didn't see any of that and doesn't have as much attunement to that. But yeah, she's following after the Wolfren, trying to get its attention, trying to figure out what's going on, surrounded by a flock of wolves, a flock of crows.
Crows, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Crows.
And this red owl, and it's a procession.
Yeah, I don't know what the owl makes of doing this. I don't know what the owl
Well,
made
the
of
owl went
instructions.
the owl went to go get Bill.
That's right.
Should
I
this
was
Right,
at the owl to go
right,
get Bill.
right.
Okay, take a breath.
Should
take a
this
breath,
be
take a breath.
necessary in the future? You guys say that the hunters are hunting the white mane, but the white mane is got the strength of the wolf and the intelligence of gear, so
Yes.
Yeah.
it can try.
And this is probably a good time to ask the elephant in the room question: where is the white mane going? It's chasing the shadows, right?
The shadow, which is
What's
he who walks
chasing the-
behind.
he who
And
walks
what-
behind. So
Presumably.
what happens?
Ceridwen would see if she could keep up with the wolf that it keeps glancing up towards the sky because Ceridwen doesn't see it, but
She's a tracker though, so she can follow its prints even if she can't see it.
absolutely.
So
And so the white
Especially
mane
since they're bloody.
sees this huge, massive raven that just trails this shade and smoke off of it as it just coasts through the air, seemingly on some kind of wind, but this spiritual representation of whoever just puppeted the surgeon, and it is retreating now northward.
And about now, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I need my circle. Where the hell is my circle? And I realize that the white mane is going after he who walks behind, and I think Ceridwen after that. And it's like, oh damn, they're not gonna come back. Got it. And she goes digging through the stuff again, and she goes digging through the stuff again and finds a bone knife.
Huh?
Okay, gear. I'm sorry, but I need to use you. And she starts moving to do a circle. It's like, no, not this time, not this time. We want an invitation. We want a beacon. We want to do this. And so she starts centering and tapping into the markings on her arm, and she starts, in her mind, instead of walking the labyrinth, she's walking the veins and the bones. And what am I gonna have to do? Okay, so she uses the bone knife, and she slices her own hand open and starts dripping the blood on Garen, starts reaching into it, mentally reaching into Gear's bone and blood and iron, since Austin gave me permission.
Please defile my body.
Further, might I
yeah,
add?
further, yes.
Yeah.
And I start reaching out through the ground, and I'm picturing sort of this open maw, reaching out and sort of consuming the whole, first the building and then the circle and then the valley and all of this. And it's a come and get me. Okay, next, what happens? That's what's going on in the tent. What's going on with?
Oh shit.
The form that the Wolfren is following stops fleeing for just a moment. And it doesn't really have a corporeal form, but there's a very strong sense of looking back over the shoulder. And an even stronger sense of, how dare you? And it looks down to see the Wolfren coming and turns and continues to
Oh,
Except
Except
Gear and the Wolf Run have both put the brakes on full lock and skid to a halt. Ceridwen, every nerve in your body, the hair on the back of your neck just begins to rise up off of your skin as you feel just this energy around you. What you don't see, that the Wolf Run sees, is the shadows beginning to step, kind of come up off the ground and move forward, just drifting dozens, hundreds.
oh, he's sending his minions.
As they
Are they then moving towards Amala?
towards this epicenter. This beacon is not a beacon in the shadow realm. This is a beacon of blood.
Yeah, and so I imagine Ceridwen stumbling and running as fast as she can behind the Wolfren, like kind of has to stumble to a stop when she realizes that the Wolfren's no longer moving. And as she is sensing whatever is happening here, there's the hunters close behind her with weapons drawn.
Yep, they cannot see the thing in the sky, so there's no reason for them
But they
to stop.
can't see the shadows either.
No,
Oh,
the
they're
Ceridwen
just
and the hunters
closing.
can't.
It just
And
looks
they're
like
Ceridwen is
you've
a little
given
bit
up.
more. Yeah, Ceridwen is a little bit more used to this, so she probably gets the sense of dread, but can't see it either. But she can hear them behind her.
And just to bring time up to the present, Bill out in the field has arrived at the accident scene, done a tiny, and I mean tiny bit of first aid. He hasn't even got the wound cleaned yet, really, because it was a ways out there and it took a while to get there. And there's a disturbance in the shadows. And he just turns around and there's people between him, like, that are watching, the people that were there that are watching it. He just pushes them aside to look back, and he can see the shadows around the steading rising and starting to close. He just throws the gauze on top of the victim and just pushes his way between the people. And one of them's like, "Well, no, you have to fix me. You have to fix me." "No, I don't. I'm not the doctor." And he's just gone back towards town.
Puts his hand on his face and just shoves him out of the way.
Get out of here. Like, he's more focused and more in the moment than you're used to seeing. Anybody that saw
What
him.
Vadden and the rest of Ceridwen's previous circle don't understand is the type of people she is now engaged with.
Yeah.
And
as just to finish off, one note: as he's heading back to town, the Uwilla just kind of drops in and into formation just off of his shoulder, as he's coming running back to town.
Ceridwen, as you kind of grind to a halt, looking at the just like crimson face of this wolf that has now whipped around to face you, the ears kind of plastered back. And you can see the absolute terror on this creature as it's making the choice to either stand with you or to run back to the tent. But it looks up to you as you hear the hunters kind of closing in, and the look behind the eyes of the wolf you've seen many times before in your hunting trips with Gear. You've seen that nonverbal communication between two hunters.
And I imagine that there's quite a few hunters.
I mean, they know who you are. They're hunting.
They were just looking for an excuse. And Austin gave it to them.
All they need is an excuse to say, this is the reason why we killed her.
You also specifically said it was military, or at this point, pseudo-military group. So these are like armed and dangerous.
Although they are
smart enough not to attack you one at a time.
They are also between the shadows and the shadows' destination.
But they
Now
can't see the shadows.
they
As
would
the
also have
shadows
that.
come through, as the shadows come through them, what havoc do they wreak in their wake?
Ceridwen, from your point of view, because that's where I saw this, a low crane shot from behind. Carrot, when you turn to face them and your hand almost instinctively starts to go towards your weapon, like you know you can't talk your way out of this. This is going down fighting time right here. You're not
This
gonna
is
you
a
haven't
Boromir situation.
yeah, this is
pretty
it.
much.
Like you haven't even there's no even chance to help who you're here to help anymore. This is fight till you're dead moment. And then it's like they run into an invisible screen, and as they pass through it, they just
And try explaining that that's not you.
they just start.
Yeah.
You can't see the shadows, right? So what you can't see, but if you could, is that each one of them is just being impacted by these shadow forms. It's like they run into them, like they tackle them,
Shred through.
and as they hit, it just takes all the life out of it. And the shadow disappears, but there's nothing left but a body to hit.
And she'll kind of like watch this happen and then kind of look at the wolf friend to see what it like.
Yeah, you've never seen it look like this before. The ears are back. It's the most submissive thing you've ever seen. It's almost slightly backing away from this as all of this, and you still feel this kind of humming energy moving adjacent to you as it's moving forward.
There's something about the motive of these shadows that I don't know how to. I guess we'd ask the Oracle. Is it how likely would it be that you would figure this out? Let's make it 50-50 and have you both.
Well, wait.
do
But
it.
ask the question.
What's the
How
question?
likely is
The
it to
question
what?
is, the question is, do you figure out? Are they trying to protect you, or is this something that has nothing to do with you?
It has nothing
For
to do
for
with her.
Ceridwen?
Well,
Well, she can't see the shadows. She gets
no, but you
feeling,
can see this.
but she
to
was
me,
following the wolf friend. The wolf friend seemed intent on hunting it, and then seemed
Something up
scared of
there.
it.
But then behind you, the people came up and they just started dropping dead at a certain distance from you. So I thought
But
there's a
it's
chance you
moving.
might decide, yeah,
No, I don't
that
know if that conclusion
maybe it's
would
me,
come.
maybe I'm doing it. No, okay,
No, I
then
don't think
yeah.
she'd come to that conclusion.
In
She
that
Because
case,
it'd be the
you
ones
don't.
closest to her first.
Then
It'd be
there's
the ones closest to her first, and then it moves through, and the ones that
Yeah.
are further back
Yeah.
then get hit. and
She's kind of running
And
on
yes,
like exhaust fumes right now.
yeah,
And
yeah, okay.
yeah.
And we've never seen
Yeah.
the Shadow Realm
So,
before.
but the Wolfren can see the shadows, and it can see it. They do go around you. There is a shield around the two of you, but it's like they don't see you. It's like you're not the easiest prey. These are simple
on
creatures.
their radar as
Yeah, you're not. You don't register as prey. You register as dangerous. So they go around you like predators hunting something in the presence, like raptors hunting in the presence of a T-Rex. You go around it, but they are hunting these people. It's got nothing to do with you, but their presence definitely has to do with whatever it is the wolfren is growling at in the sky.
And she'll kind of look to the wolfren, who looks scared, and
Having said that, seen from the outside, it looks like you turned around and used magic to devastate a full of citizens.
Yeah, which she doesn't have. So.
Yeah.
But she knew that the wolfren was following something, and Amala mentioned something about a shadow creature. So she can kind of correlate, because the wolfren did turn around. It stopped following whatever was there.
And so neither one of you would have anything to roll on that. The wolfren
all
will
of
see
these,
it flat out.
all of these are heading straight towards that steading.
But she'll look to the wolfren now that it has stopped moving and kind of looks a little scared. And she'll say, Amala needs you with her. Come on. And then start running back towards the steading.
I think
What
the
does
wolf.
Gear Whitemane make of that? Let's give you a minute to ponder that
Yeah.
as Bill arrives back.
I was just gonna say on the other side of the village where no one can see it, and we forget dice. We're just telling a story now, and I really don't care. Bill starts back towards the village because, like I said, and like you pointed out, they're coming to the village. Ceridwen is not the target. Gear is not the target. They're going to the village. This thing has released them to go and punish this village or some such reason. And as Bill approaches, the citizens the what were left have more or less fled. It's just him and these black, shadowy creatures coming towards the town. He just, without even knowing that he's done it, he just wreaths up in black himself and starts to shadow walk in his physical form, not as like his body doesn't drop. He stays in this form. And if you was there to hear him, you'd hear him mutter, "Oh, work with gear." And he reaches out and looks at one of the creatures and sucks it into his hand. As I'm just making this up, a point of shadow. Oh, I thought that would work. And he just reaches out and grabs another one and another one and another one. And then you can see he's struggling. It's too much. It's too much shadow. I'm going to get rid of some of this. And it's just just a explosion of shadow, which takes out a bunch more. And that's better, and just starts again, just alternately gathering and exploding his way into this village from this side.
And as you get closer,
Mhm.
as you get closer, you can see a small but very bright light that's moving around. And if you can tell where Amala is, it's moving around with her.
Oh yeah, I know that light. You absolutely.
No,
I'm
that's
going.
not Amala. It's not
Oh,
Amala.
that's if it looks like Amala's light, that's where Bill's going.
It's the iron in her pocket that is shining very brightly at the moment in shadow. And as you get closer, you start seeing a little bit of a glow where the iron things got dropped around it.
Yeah. Uh huh.
But she forgot about the iron in her pocket.
Right. Um, because he's in that zone, is that iron interfering with what she's doing?
Can't tell.
Can't tell. Okay.
It's different. It's just glowing very brightly.
Right. Oh yeah, just Bill is just locked on that like a moth on a flame. He's still doing it, but it's automatic now, and not to mention they're not stupid. They're starting to avoid him as he moves his way.
Predator.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Something started fighting back. You don't eat that. You run away. And as the threat falls, so does Bill's sort of deathliness. And by the time he gets to the steading itself, they've been pushed out of that zone, and it's just plain old Bill that walks in the door.
Okay. Are you out of shadow then too?
Yes, as I walk through the
Okay.
door, that just peels off as I walk into your presence, which is the
Austin,
only place that Bill feels safe.
Austin, are you ready?
I have an idea.
Okay.
And so, Gear, as the Whitemane, given this command, seeing what these things are capable of, knowing where they're headed, he would instinctively go to move there as fast as possible, but being so far away, he would be at a loss for how to get there in time. And so seamlessly, as the pads of the paws begin to hit the dirt as the Whitemane takes off at a gallop, Gear would close his eyes and tuck his wings in just a little tighter to get that last bit of speed before they come out, slowing his flight just enough to come through the door and land in the center of the tent, red wings spread out on either side of him.
Meanwhile,
would
Ceridwen is just
Amala,
stumbling down
Yeah.
down through the hill.
what would Amala and or Bill perceive in that?
I don't think, because the spirits don't show up clearly in the shadow realm. So
No.
what you would see is, again, that kind of fuzzy collection of energy that they were the first time you saw the white mane, that you saw it was something much bigger than it manifested
Mhm.
physically.
Yeah.
But these,
When the shadows, when the
Something
light washed
more.
over it in shadow, yeah.
Something more like its true form. Yeah.
But on top of that, you also get the presence of gear.
Yes, you would. I mean, you see it in them that clearly, you would definitely.
Especially
see gears.
Amala, who has seen gear in shadow.
Yes.
yes, that is. I guess there would be a
And that's-
big collection of energy and
Like
then a smaller kind of sub collection next to it that seemed to be
I saw it
interwoven
as a
together.
three-cornered light, three different colors, but that's me being visual.
And it takes Amala a little bit aback, and she kind of steps back and looks at Gear's body and looks up at the spirits and looks. Oh. Oh gods, what have I done? Bill, you're here. North side.
Right.
Where's Ceridwen? Was Ceridwen stumbling about now?
She's still coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it took.
Okay.
Also, I
Ceridwen's
just had a
not here.
horrible thought. The shadows that passed through killed these people.
And lots
What
of civilians
happened-
are dying too.
What happened to those dead bodies? Are they now something worse?
I don't know,
It-
Robin. Are they?
No. Yeah. Not up until you said that they weren't, but now
Because I have a feeling that the shadows of he who walks behind wouldn't necessarily just be kind enough to just kill the person.
You mean the puppet master?
I don't know. It seems like these are Ironlanders
Yeah.
who were killed before they were able to complete their tasks.
By dark magic. Oh,
By dark
fuck.
magic. So there may now be a dozen or so husks coming about.
Plus
well,
all the
we
civilians
might have one in. We
that
got one
are-
inside the tent still too. So
Well, that one was mauled by
A wolf.
the Wolfren, so I don't know if that one's coming back. But so
well, I meant Gear. I forgot all about the
Oh.
doctor. He's probably been infested too.
Ceridwen arrived, and by the time she leaves, this is just going to be a husk nest.
Yeah.
All the civilians that are
Oh.
Yeah.
fleeing directly into the arms of the shadows.
Yep.
All the guards.
They're all dead. Yep. They're all
No,
dead, Dave. Dave, they're
what
all
I
dead.
was kind of imagining was because the Wolfren would get there before Ceridwen, because the Wolfren is a spirit and can move through
Yep.
the fabric of time. Like that's just a given. But I imagine as she's running and kind of stumbling back, and she would probably look behind her to make sure the Wolfren was coming, not see the Wolfren, but start seeing the bodies of those dozen or so warriors, like coming back, like very like marionette puppetish, kind of
Yep.
like jointily
Yep.
coming back, and just kind of freeze for a moment as they all kind of turn back around towards the steading.
And you turn and bolt to get there before they do, I assume.
Yeah, to kind of try to set up a barrier.
There's too many, right? I mean,
There's too many for her to take on, especially since they're archers.
so are you.
I know, but she's running away from them at this current moment.
But you're going
how
into a
much
town
sleep
which
have you
provides
had in the last like 48 hours?
on a purely tactical side, you're heading back into a town which is full of places to hide in.
Yeah.
They're coming across an open field towards you. They're no longer dexterous or really, I'm assuming,
Oh,
in real
yeah.
control of themselves. Not to mention, I'm thinking by this point, there might be some pent up, I need to kill shit frustration going on in Ceridwen's mind too. So, yeah, as a hunter, I think find a blind and start hunting would be a fairly logical thought.
Yeah, she'd probably get closer to the steading, not go
Yes.
into the tent right away, try to like get a spot.
Outermost,
Now-
yeah, right at the outside, yeah, a pile of firewood or something.
There are also a lot of husks heading in your direction
Yep.
from the center of the city as well, or the steading. So maybe you arrive at the steading a
How
couple
many
minutes
civ-
later
are
with an empty
civilians
quiver.
Are civilians getting killed through this too? We're assuming.
I mean, I pictured these
They're getting
shadows
husked,
not
right?
really
Yeah.
discerning.
Yeah.
Bill didn't kill
Guard from
enough to
civilian.
make a difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this town is in the process of. I mean,
Becoming extinct rapidly.
we just did a zombie apocalypse, is what we basically just did. Sorry, Sean. I bet you didn't think this was in your game. So, in the midst
I have
of that,
Bill,
yes.
I have the spirits. The crows
Yep.
are fluttering in. I don't remember what I set them to do. The
They were
iron is outside.
They were following Ceridwen. The crows.
Without being asked,
Yeah.
Bill puts Gear's semi-inert body on his corner, because I know that there's four corners of what you're trying to do, and then goes back to his
Mhm.
north position himself.
Inert body.
All right, is Bill gonna tell Amala what he saw coming in?
Given the mess that's right in front of her, I look over and look at your face. Do you look like you could handle more bad news right now?
Yes.
Then I
She's
tell
put
you.
on her big strong girl pants.
Yeah.
Speaking of more bad news.
Yeah. So yes, then I do. I
There's
share
a wicked
everything.
glint in Austin's eye.
I share everything I know then.
Ah. Damn, he sent minions instead of coming himself. Okay.
Ain't that ever the way?
Okay, so that didn't work. We don't have all of the circle.
Bill's panicking. He just
We need
takes
a
a
ward
great
right
big
now.
breath and just yells, "Ceridwen!" And then he takes another breath even deeper and says, "Mrs. Ceridwen!"
That's the oh shit button.
Yeah.
Yep, that we established this.
Yep, that was many episodes ago. But yes, when he calls her Mrs., it's like come shooting.
Yep, but she's already in the thick of it. She's
Yep.
kind of like, I'm a little busy at the moment.
Okay, so we take who we've got here, and we start the circle.
Shaman Amala, before you get started, put that bit of iron what's in your pocket where Ceridwen sits. It's right there, shining as all bright as.
Oh boy. Inside, outside.
Wow.
No. Well, yeah, we're doing bone and blood. We might as well do iron too. And I slam it down on the table in the midst of all of this.
Yep.
Like, okay, I might as well do it all. Okay.
As you're sitting there focusing on this, you feel the energy behind you, somewhere in the distance, directly behind you,
Mhm.
of the shadow sliding open, the nasty, sickly, as the eyelids open and the red eye rolls around to face you again. Somewhere way directly behind you, just watching.
Okay, so I start pulling together the threads of all of our bonds, including the bond to Ceridwen and God,
And
help
because you're
me.
tethered, and you're tethered to Ceridwen, so you'd know she's coming closer.
Yes. Well, I'm not doing an invitation anymore, so I won't reach through to Cadell. So I pull together all of us and I start Holmes' communion ritual that they use to ward their whole circle. And I try to send through the tether to Ceridwen a compulsion to circle Malwind. No idea if it works. And so I start drawing my circle in, the crows, the spirits, Gear, Bill, Ceridwen, all of us, and I start trying to ward Malwind.
And a circle inside a circle inside a circle. And as that third circle closes and you've got them all at the tips of your fingertips, you realize that he who walks behind is powerless here now, because there's no way to get behind the circle. Or imagine it, 4 people sitting at the compass points. There is no place you can be behind them all.
Well, but he encircled Callista's circle, which circled Amala's circle. And he doesn't need to. I mean, at this point, I'm sure he's just dying of curiosity as to what is she going to do with this next?
But again, it's that bump.
Intrigued and fascinated.
He can't be who he is and get inside.
That's just Amala's label for him.
He took his shot and missed.
And as Amala is working on that, a couple things happen outside, because directly after Bill yelled out for Ceridwen and then basically hit the oh shit button, you hear the sharp whistle that she has used a couple times to call Braum.
Yes.
And she gets Braum to her, and I got an opportunity on my Enter the Fray against these fuckers.
Going Valkyrie.
Tell us the story of
how you arrive with an empty quiver.
Tell us. I mean, I was going to call it Ceridwen's ride. Take some time.
The minigun.
Take some time. Braum arrives. You hurl yourself up onto his back.
It's like it's practice, because she's done. This is what she does. She's a hunter. It's usually not people, but she does it that way. And so
this
then
is your home territory too, right? I mean, you know this.
She knows how to
these
move
people,
around.
How they're trained, how they move. You know everything. So tell us this ride.
So she gets on Braum and gets a little bit farther away from the husks that are following her, and can see, as now that she's kind of got a vantage point, can see kind of what's happening around the circle as well. And the compulsion that Amala does, she's not conscious of that compulsion, but because of what is happening with the people, that a lot of the people left left the inside of the circle to go towards where Bill had been, she's gonna then start circling around and trying to stop the inward descent of these husks. And
Yeah.
so she will then start firing. And so yeah.
This is
For
grand
sure.
scale. This is grand scale stuff. You certainly do not need to roll for every husk you attack, but you mow the lawn. This is a hero moment. Tell it big. Make it big.
It's not quite Legolas level of like
No.
wild archery. Like she's not that, but it's just like she basically is not leading Braum anywhere. She is basically just focusing on each individual person and aiming for the head of the husk, and if it keeps on moving after that, then anything else that seems vital. Just one after another, and just going until she has no arrows left.
Soon they start to move away from you again. This will be the third time, so this isn't out of nowhere.
And she'll be
you register as a serious threat, and they start to, like fish in a school of fish, they start moving away from you.
Yep, and with
that
Braum,
wherever you go
she's able
becomes
to quickly
clear.
circle and make sure like that things are staying out of the area, and unconsciously creating this circle. You look concerned.
Another
Austin.
circle.
I have concerns.
We all do.
Can I complicate your entire
Absolutely.
everything?
Yeah, there was 2 weekends. There should be a complication, yeah.
From the trees just on the outside of this scene, watching these people, this chaos ensue, one of the only survivors of the wash of death that has come over this city, the steading, sees this vicious red-haired hunter mounted atop horseback, sinking arrow after arrow into friends and family members as they turn their back on the steading and begin to head to the north.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, though.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that any survivors would be fleeing to another steading anyway at this point.
Yikes.
So now, because these numbers were, huge, there's a bubble around sort of most.
Well,
you said it was a small steading.
Huge, yeah. I mean, probably a couple
Smaller
hundred
than
people.
Kenheim, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's between all of Amala's shells and Ceridwen's Ride of Doom. There's an area now that these things just will not come in. They keep trying. They're like a pack of wolves where they try and distract you over here, and one tries to dart in on this side, but you quickly, especially because Ceridwen, you're riding guard on this outside.
Yeah.
They're not smart. They're predators, and Hunter.
Well,
You're
and
a hunter,
Amala
right?
would probably be able to sense that once she circled it a couple times, she's probably able to tell.
Absolutely.
I can tell the lock as soon as it blocks into place.
They're having a hard
comes
time.
to life.
Yeah, they're having a hard time getting close to all of these shields of light anyway, and then combined with you riding up and then going,
It's
yeah,
not
predator.
Light.
Predator reaction.
No,
sorry, it isn't. It's worse than that. It's much worse.
I did not use light. I used bone and blood.
You used the bone, blood, and iron.
Bone, blood, and iron.
Corrupted bone and blood magic. That didn't slip by me.
These things are kind of predators of opportunity. They prey on the weak, the first thing they can get their hands on, these shadows. And so the husks and the shadows, they have been called in this beacon. As they approach, they stop very in clearly defined distance from the circle and just sit to watch these beautiful, perfect, terrifying concentric circles of husks and shadows and death as the entirety of this steading has their eyes on this tent.
And
Dolphin floating.
Shot pans up and away, and
here,
forest around it.
And around the outside of the forest, those red eyes and their lashing spider web-like tendrils begin to crawl from tree to tree.
And Gear, you saw the shadow raven that attacked and took over the young healer. And now you see the markings on Amala's arm begin to writhe. And you see shadow wings coming from her back as she stands back and is engulfed in shadow. Bill does not see this, but Gear does.
And so the Red Crest, in her traditional assistance towards you, with Gear standing just behind her, spreads her wings open, almost to mimic you, and those eyes lock onto yours, ready to share her ancient sage knowledge to hopefully empower any ritual that you were to perform.
And looking directly into Amala's eyes, she sees a very young, very frightened apprentice.
So in the center of this circle, circles upon circles of animated dead, the ever creeping corruption moving closer and closer.
And as Ceridwen basically stems off the flow on the outside, I don't know if the communion will let her in, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So then she'll
Because
move,
she was part of the making of it, yes.
right. And so she will she like there's plenty of weapons and stuff. She will have to scavenge at that point. She doesn't have that many arrows on her at a time, but she will scoops things up and will continue trying to go closer and closer in the circles, going around.
Oddly enough, the first time that occurs to you, because you're a hunter again, you're counting. It's like there's I'm gonna have to do something soon. I've only got 5 left, 4 left, 3 left. Not any lighter. 2 left, 1 left. I'm gonna have to wait a minute. There's still it's full. You draw the first one again and draw it down, and as you pull it back, it passes under your nose. And you smell a smell you haven't smelled in years. Your brother. His hair is back when you liked him.
She loves her brother.
Mm-hmm. And you have to, it's the hardest thing you've ever done, but you have to let that shot go and you grab another one and draw, and yeah, he's there too. And it's just as long as you need it. Every time you run out, it refills.
So, Amala, conductor of this symphony of darkness, standing at the center of all the evil and taint that you were able to call into muster. You have the power, the raw primal power of this bone and blood magic. What do you do with it, and what is the price?
So Amala is still locked into the Red Crest's gaze in fear. And she appears as vulnerable. The Red Crest wasn't there, but Gear was. And so, yeah, the Wolfren was around, but wouldn't have had a very good view of it. That day back on the lake, when the wolves were on the hunt for her. She looks very much as vulnerable as she did then.
And so you would see, as you stand there, your wings spread, your hands out in front of you, still clutching the bone knife. The Red Crest's wings move forward, wrap themselves around Gear's chin, and tilt his head upward, exposing the soft part of his throat and neck.
Oh, Austin! Oh, yeah. I handed it to you and you trumped.
There's a price to strong magic.
And that... Can she see Gear behind the Red Crest? Because that will definitely change what she does here.
The Red Crest is a very, very large energy that you see, but this kind of fuzzy image you see, there's a smaller, slightly different colored, but still connected something you see kind of shrouded beneath the wings of this creature in the same position, holding that head back.
So she knows, she can tell that that is Gear's gesture.
She's seen Gear in the Shadow Realm before, so she would know it was him.
And that sparks the rebellion in her. And she does 3 things simultaneously. She takes the bone knife. She plunges it into her own heart. she uses all of that tainted, dark magic. And instead of reaching out to sort of feel out the area as she does in the invoke, she sends all of it out through the writhing markings and out through the source and through the wings and through it all, and just channels all of it in a huge burst. And she smiles gratefully at Gear. And I suggest we drop the curtain there for tonight.
Yep. Just taking the breath to say that very sentence. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Hallowed, there is the answer to your question as to what happens when it's 21 days between games. Could it get darker? Hell yes. How did it do that? It did not go out, it went in. These characters are amazing. If these characters were not so, if we didn't buy into them so much and they weren't so real to us and the people that are watching, none of this would be this intense and this gravitating. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say that Chad enjoyed that. So,
well, I hope so. I mean, the trust and the willing to give up control is absolutely necessary for this. Not to mention the battle of wills between Austin and Karis.
And Wookie Love and Hug, just to let you know, absolutely not one word of that was planned. That was 4 people sitting together telling a story and occasionally using a dice system to resolve some stuff.
I didn't roll a single dice.
Welcome, man. Welcome.
Either.
We almost went through the entire second half with no dice at all. But Robin, you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay, I'm gonna give you another minute because your face said a very different thing than your voice did. So
you look at that smile and it's light. I mean, yeah, she's hiding, but it's light.
So let's do it backwards this week. Austin, what are your many adventures when you're not here?
Oh, I'd like to say that I do happy things, but I do organic chemistry things and biochemistry things and play the other 3 nights of the week that I'm not working. On Tuesday, between me and one of my players, we had everybody at the table crying. It was
broke my heart.
By everybody at the table, 2 of them are sitting just over off to the side here. So
no,
just one. Sorry,
Karis.
Yeah.
I killed Karis that adventure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just killed
it.
It
happens.
There's
no
but at the end of that.
It's like turning them into a newt. They got better.
And then directly after I killed her and she managed to survive, she lost all of her magic as a sorcerer.
Oh, nice.
Tell it right, Austin. She sacrificed all of her magic, her mother, her bloodline, her class, all of it. She sacrificed all of it for moment of freedom.
This might be a good time to mention that this game started because somebody in this room said, after a game of what you just saw, said, I want to be in a dark game. Somebody should run a really dark game for us. And of course, Austin went...
Austin kept saying he was a dark bastard and all this. And I kept saying, Austin, I want to play at your table. He said, no, it's too dark. And I said, yes, I do.
And then his horns went, all right, we play on Tuesdays.
Pretty much.
So, anyways.
So that's what, when you're not doing this here, you're doing this somewhere else.
Yeah. No, that's I couldn't have summed it up better myself.
And let's just go around the circle backwards. So second, as usual, Karis, what have you been up to in the last 3 weeks when you weren't here?
torturing my Tuesday night character.
Yes, I see this. Yeah.
Conspiring with my dungeon master to torture my Tuesday night character. And
Guilty.
gathering ideas from other friends and family to torture my Tuesday night character. Oh yeah, and
I would like to say, I torture all of my Tuesday night players. It's not just cards.
They asked you to.
I would like to
They
say
specifically
that
said, "Beat me up."
all of his Tuesday night players are as eager for this as I am. I am a
Absolutely.
typical player in that group. But no, I've
Yes.
gotten out. I've gotten out a couple of Minecraft videos, and in particular, I had an Extra Life donor. So Extra Life is a charitable organization that is primarily partnered with Twitch, but it's separate from Twitch and it integrates with some other stuff too. Raising money for the Children's Miracle Network of hospitals here in the U.S. And so one of our Lifecraft fans in my Minecraft community made a donation, and so I built a statue of his Minecraft skin for him, very prominently placed on the Lifecraft server. And so I have an episode that came out today's Thursday, yesterday. It sort of talks about Extra Life. And I also run a monthly Dungeons and Dragons game. A group of very nice people make a donation every single month to have me run their D&D game.
You sound surprised every time you say that. I don't know why you do.
I know I do. They're very generous people, and so I do encourage people, go out to Extra Life. It's a good cause. Each streamer or team member or participant in it, they nominate their own local children's hospital. So, any donations that come through my page go to the Seattle Children's Hospital, and other team members in the team that I'm on and through the Daddy Warbucks D&D community. They each have their own local children's hospital. So, we have fun, we play games, we inspire people to give generously to a really good cause. And so it's win, 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 win all the way around.
We should try that here. I bet people would play us to stop.
Cookies and milk. Because in my Minecraft world, it's the wholesome Karis, the cookies and milk granny Karis.
Yes,
not
exactly.
This twisted
no.
sorcerer that plays D&D.
Well, you've got to have the first one, otherwise people will never trust you to get behind them, so that the second one can stab you in the back.
That's what I said. Come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. I have cookies and milk.
Yes. And venomous poison. Step in and sit down in the darkness. Yes.
See, I have cookies. In chat, you can look in chat. I have cookies.
You have cookies. Look at that. Cookies there are. And you've put down your blanket, so you must be okay. Our lore master, Robin. Start with that, and then tell us where we can find all your art.
Yes, I basically kind of am taking care of the wiki that we have for all of our lore and all of the mass amount of things that we spew forth at random throughout an episode, just so we can keep track of everything. And it's also a place for summaries of each episode we put out, links to the YouTube videos, the VODs, and all that kind of stuff. And there's maps and there's character information and all that kind of stuff. That
it's freaking amazing is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll fix it, Karis. I see that. We don't have a prompt for the YouTube channel. Sorry.
So
it's exactly the same as this. It's just Dirty 20 Gaming.
Especially for people just tuning in on this session. Yes. I'm sorry for the mass confusion. Unfortunately, all of our episodes are like this. It's just you probably don't know much about characters. Information is there.
Up to it over time.
Oh, wow.
Yes. If you want to know how we got here, it's all there.
It started with an arrow in the ass. Let's just face it.
It really did.
Yeah. Dirty 20 Gaming, no spaces over on YouTube will get you that information that Karis is very difficult to log. My words have stopped. They must be getting almost 10 o'clock here. My words have stopped functioning.
Can't words.
But yes, before you tap a series of bruises into your arm, I was getting to it tonight. I really, really was. I do a bunch of stuff on and off stream. I'll just start at the start of the week because it's easier that way. On Mondays, I am part of the Mercs of Mischief over on the Mercs of Mischief channel, which is where some of the folks from chat have come over and generously watched us tonight are from. I play Guy over there, and then on Wednesdays at ridiculous o'clock in the morning, I get up and play a game of Starfinder with a bunch of wonderfully talented and amazing Australians. They streaming out of Western Australia, Perth, I think to be specific. And then later that night, I do an off-stream game with 2 of the people in this room and 3 of my other friends. And then on Thursdays, which is today, I get to do a really cool thing because I get to take some of our viewers from the Mercs of Mischief channel who have never played RPGs before, and I get to take them into the actual Avalon Knights Academy world and let them have amazing adventures there. And there has been no dull weeks doing that, I can assure you. And then Thursday nights I come here and do this, and then to unload from all of that on Friday nights, I do Fun Shot Fridays here on Dirty 20 Gaming. These are ridiculous one-page fun shots with overwhelming amounts of pointless violence, silliness, and as much laughter as you saw pain and suffering tonight. It's my decompression thing to do on Fridays. Tomorrow we're doing System Shutdown, which the characters will be a series of cybernetic hardasses who are trying to accomplish their mission before all their cybernetic hard-assedness starts to shut down because of lack of payment of bills. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow night. So if you
Is
like
Solar
this,
in that one?
my list is over there. I think,
okay.
are you in this one, Solar? Or, I don't remember. But a number of people are anyway. So check that out, and then starts all again on Monday with the Mercs. So with that, I talked for a long time there. Let's. I want to finish with my favorite part: the 5 thank yous. Robin, thank you. I slapped you with your missing brother tonight, and the response was absolutely wonderful. Karis, as always, you took a couple minutes at the beginning there and just took us right back where we were. And I know there was some question as to whether you wanted to do that. Yes, please. Yes, please do that every time. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Austin, when you do this, it makes me do this because I know something amazing is coming.
I challenge anybody to watch the VODs, and when that happens, watch everybody else's
Just
reaction
wait.
because they all go,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!"
I think what you'll actually find is when he does that, all of us go,
Oh, danger!
we're waiting on it.
All of us are now in danger.
But I said 5 thank yous, and that's only 3. The 4th one is for every single person that watched in Twitch tonight, watching this live and staying here and not running away from the anguish. I cannot possibly thank you enough. Seeing
Giving
you
us
guys
love
get
in
into
chat
this.
even. They're not only
Yeah,
here,
I
they give us love
know,
in
just big
chat.
hearts everywhere and telling us we're doing great
Oh.
things. It's so good to see, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Yes, the horns are showing. And then the final thank you is for all the future people watching on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this too. And
leave
with
us
that,
comments.
yes, leave us comments, talk about us, and please watch right to the end because apparently that's really important. So, with that, I'm going to do my new official ending, which be nice to each other. See you next week. Bye.